Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. The Milwaukee Bucks have been dominating at the defensive end of the floor with the help of Brook Lopez, and Brook Lopez has put himself in position to win the early season Defensive Player of the Year. So let's look at some stats first from the Bucks. They're first in defensive rating, holding teams to low effective field goal percentages and just field goal percentages in general, preventing teams from taking a lot of three-pointers and shots at the rim, and they're just overall impacting the offensive flow of today's NBA game with their ability to force long mid-range jumpers. But now let's look at Brook Lopez, the heart and center of this defense. In terms of stats, you can see across the board, he brings minuses to the board while he is on the floor, preventing easy shots at the rim, being able to rotate out and contest threes, just overall impacting the entire court while he is on the floor. So in this video, we're going to really dive into the film and see what makes Brook Lopez so dominant at the defensive end of the floor. The first thing I want to look at is the Bucks' shell defense in general, just to get a glimpse of what has made them so good this far this season. This clip right here will have Brook Lopez on the ball on the perimeter, and then we can get a good gist of what they do off the ball. First, you have a really good activity at the topside gap, and then we'll see Jrue Holiday as that primary helper come in, but you can see that their positioning is the lane line, strong side corner, stay home, and the top gap be active. We'll get another example here against Brooklyn where Brook Lopez is dragged out to the perimeter. Brook is guarding his yard to his ability, not pressuring, over pressuring. There's that topside gap, and they stay home on the help because Brook is able to get back in front and make a play. Here against Detroit, we're going to have Brook Lopez in help positioning. You will see that he floats and shadows the ball at all times. We'll dive more into that later, but that low is able to drag over. They're able to X out to the perimeter. Brook is able to do a good job guarding his yard, and everybody's able to stay home. They do a really good job at keeping presence in the paint while allowing everybody to stay home. This is a great example. You can see that the lane line is loaded by all three players off the ball, not including Brook Lopez. But Brook Lopez is that rover, that guy in the middle of the lane, just making things difficult in the paint while everybody else is cutting off passing lanes and making it difficult to get out to the perimeter. But you can see that they're a highly connected group at the defensive end of the floor. They know when they're switching 1 through 4. They know when and where to be. Brook Lopez does a great job inside and out at being that primary helper, taking the responsibility of the paint, and we're going to dive more into Brook's role and how he has been able to excel and make things highly difficult for teams to score and be efficient offensively. Now to look at some film and specifically look at Brook Lopez's role at the defensive end for the Milwaukee Bucks. This first clip here against the Cavs, I think, does a terrific job. You can see that he stays at the lane line. He shadows the ball. He anticipates where the ball is going. He puts himself in a position to be on his guy, prevent action toward the rim, and just make plays across the board. His positioning there prevented multiple easy drives, an easy cut by Donovan Mitchell, and a dive by Evan Mobley. And then he ends up blocking a shot when he doesn't get the rebound. Here against New York, we're going to see a similar thing. Look at how deep he is from the jump, anticipating that high ball screen, preventing easy drives, and then he's there in position to make plays on that little dump down pass to the porch. Here against Minnesota, I think that this is a terrific clip. You can see he's on the weak side of the floor at the high elbow middle of the floor area, and he's creeping in and out of the lane, preventing a 3-second violation, but also being somebody preventing cuts and forcing a very tough, inefficient shot for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Back to a clip against Cleveland, you can see that he does a great job of anticipating action. First, he did a good job at getting in front and preventing that pin down, and then cutting off that secondary action on the ball screen. But even when he's in a spot that he has to guard multiple guys, like a guy like Joel Embiid, and also prevent action toward the paint, he does a good job positioning himself to do both. And then when it comes to guarding against some of the best guards in the NBA, he does a good job at stepping up and making things a little bit more challenging, higher up on the floor. But overall, this roving ability, he flies around in the middle of the lane. He knows when to show. He knows when to back off even more. He just does a great job at making the offensive player have to read him differently every time down the floor. His ability to do all of this prevents a lot of easy rim opportunities, prevents a lot of three-point opportunities, allows the primary defender to come back in and make a play, and just in general makes things incredibly difficult for offense to get good looks. Now let's dive into a specific action in the pick and roll and see how great Brook Lopez is in drop coverage. So the Bucks like putting him in drop coverage and switching 1 through 4 typically depending on the lineup, but Brook's ability to drop and allow the ball to get back in front and make plays is spectacular. So let's dive into it a little bit with these clips. The cat and mouse ability of Brook Lopez is incredible. So you can see he anticipates the ball screen early, getting to a position outside of the lane line. He drops with the roll man, and then he puts himself in a spot to first commit to the ball, and then secondly is still able to recover and make a play on the roll man. Here against Philly, we'll get that same anticipation. He's dropping, he's preventing ball first, but then he's in a spot to recover out. Here against Chicago, you can see that he's even higher up in this one, starting at the top of the key, but it allows Javon Carter to get back in and contest the shot. Here against Detroit, you'll see that elbow. He puts himself on the lane line, drops back initially with the ball, and his first responsibility is the ball, second responsibility is the paint. So you can see he does this time and time again, making things very difficult for ball handlers across the floor to go make a play. He lines himself up with the lane line at some way, shape, or form, drops back between the big and the ball, first preventing easy attempts for the ball handler to get to the rim, and then secondly putting himself in a position to guard both the ball and the roll man. But right there against the Cavs, you can see that cat and mouse. He's active. He's on his toes. His hands are out and active, taking up space, and it ends up in a turnover. But in terms of retreating, I think that these next two clips show great examples. First against Philly, you can see he cuts off the ball, and then he puts himself in a spot to contest the jumper. Here against Brooklyn, we're going to get a pick and pop. He commits to that ball heavily, and then he's still in a position to rotate out and get a hand up on the three. Coach Budenholzer and the Bucks have done a terrific job at putting Brook Lopez at the center of their defensive system, allowing him to rove, anticipate, make plays with his size and length, forcing a lot of mid-range jumpers, keeping teams out of the paint, and allowing guys to rotate out and contest threes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about Brook Lopez and the Milwaukee Bucks and how they've been so great defensively early this season. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and we will catch you in the next one.